What is going on, Slay Babes? It's Ashley and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be an extension of my last video. My last video was all about new affordable makeup. I hauled a bunch of stuff, I swatched some things, but I definitely said in that video that swatches just perform a lot different than they do on the eyes. So I'm gonna be putting some of those items to the test in today's video. So it's gonna be kind of like a new, affordable, first impressions makeup tutorial, if you will. So I hope you guys really enjoyed today's video, and if you guys like videos like this, and stop what you're doing and press that subscribe button. Also, while you're at it, click that bell, because I want to say 99.9% of you don't even have your notifications turned on, and it hurts my feelings. It really does. No, but seriously, do what you want, do what you do. Click that bell, okay? And with that, we're gonna zoom right in just so that way you guys can see me super up close and personal, HD, and we can get started on the look. Let's go. Okay, so we're super close, super personal, just how I like it. I am gonna start today's video off with a little bit of a potted concealer. This is new from Makeup Revolution. This is the Conceal and Fix Ultimate Coverage Concealer, and I picked mine up in the shade Medium Sand. I think it's gonna be a really awesome concealer to carve out underneath my brows. I'm not gonna take this all the way down on my eyelid just because I will be using a different product to prime, but I really wanted to see how the consistency was with this concealer. Whoa, super creamy. Ooh, that is really, really creamy. Oh my God. Then with a fluffy brush, I'm just gonna kind of buff and blend it out. Wow, okay, I will say that is a beautiful concealer to carve out your eyebrows. I also want to take a little bit of it and kind of just like put it over this blemish here just to see what's up. Like, will it cover the blemishes, you know? Even though this is slightly lighter than what I normally would use like on my face, I just want to see like if it gets the job done. Oh wow, this is a pretty good coverage concealer. So my final verdict on this is that it is really, really good. It's very creamy, very full on coverage. If you guys were into the ABH potted concealer that was out maybe a few years ago, I feel like you will really, really enjoy this. I definitely feel like I'm gonna get a lot of use out of this, especially for covering up blemishes and carving out my eyebrows. So kudos to Makeup Revolution for coming out with that concealer. Instead of putting it all over my eyelids, I am gonna use a separate eyeshadow primer that's formulated for eyeshadow. And I'm gonna use this one right here. This is a brand new product by e.l.f. This is the Putty Eye Primer in the shade Cream. I do know for a fact that they do make this in several different shades. I picked up Cream because I felt like this will be very suitable for my skin tone. So I'm just gonna take this and put it all over just to see what it's all about. I thought it was very interesting that they did come out with like a putty eye primer. And ooh, this has some coverage to it. I'm into it. But like I was saying, I thought it was really interesting that they did decide to come out with like a putty eye primer. Wow, okay, this is creamy. It doesn't feel drying at all whatsoever. Wow, I'm into this. I can't even get my thoughts across because I'm so amazed with the pigmentation on this eye primer. I'm really, really into eyeshadow primers that have a little bit of coverage to it, especially considering I like a very muted canvas before going in with eyeshadow. And this is just muting out my eyelids like no other. By the way, I did get a lash lift, which is why my lashes look so incredibly long right now, and they're kind of like in the way, but that's what happened there. So I definitely feel like the eye primer, the consistency is very, very interesting. Like I said, it is very, very creamy going on, and it blends out very, very nicely. I'm very interested in seeing like how well it holds my eyeshadow throughout the day. Let's actually talk about eyeshadow because I do have a new eyeshadow palette to use in today's video. I will be using this one by Maybelline. This is the Nudes of New York eyeshadow palette, and I was just very, very interested and just impressed in this shade range. I really love like like a nude eyeshadow palette. This actually reminds me of a higher end eyeshadow palette that just dropped, so I will be duping it to that later on. But first and foremost, I'm gonna pick up the shade called Artist. It's the bone colored shade within the palette, and I'm just going to rock it in my socket to kind of just set down that crease area. I am noticing that I am getting a little bit of kickback in the pan, but nothing too crazy. Also, that eyeshadow is blending very nicely over top. The next shade I'm going to take is called Creator, so it's right next to Artist, and I'm gonna kind of mix the two together just to get more of a softer blend. And I'm gonna do the same exact thing. I'm using an M441, and I'm just taking this into the crease and blending it back and forth. Wow, that is a beautiful soft brown shade. Okay. Wow. Okay, so this eyeshadow builds up very, very nicely, like super pigmented on the eyes, which is honestly very impressive for Maybelline eyeshadows, because based on experience, anytime I would go in with like a Maybelline eyeshadow, I felt like I had to lay it directly over top of like a very tacky and sticky base in order to see any kind of pigment, but that's definitely not the case with this eyeshadow palette. It is performing very, very well, and I am getting a lot of pigmentation out of the eyeshadows. I started to get a little crazy with the overall blending of the eyeshadows, so I need to tone it down a little bit. But the next shade I'm going to take is called Explorer. It is this shade right here, so it's slightly deeper than Creator, and I'm going to use this to kind of deepen up the outer V. So I'm just going to kind of tap it at the base of my lash. Ooh, that is pretty. Okay. Maybelline is coming through with this eyeshadow palette. Also, I want to note that the eyeshadows are blending very, very nicely over top of that e.l.f. eyeshadow base. You guys are going to have to let me know what you think of the eyeshadow palette so far down below in the comments. Okay, next I'm gonna go in with a little bit of this shade right here called Creator, and I'm taking that on an M433, and I'm actually gonna use this to kind of like just blend the edges a little bit more, because I feel like when I went in with Explorer, it kind of got a little unblended. So I'm just gonna take a little bit and just feather it. I'm really impressed with this eyeshadow palette so far. I cannot believe Maybelline is dropping that heat. I feel like I haven't talked about Maybelline in so long on my channel, but not because they don't have good products, but because I wasn't really blown away by many of their launches. But this one is incredible. Next, I'm gonna go in with this shade right here. It's called Globetrotter. It's such a beautiful kind of like cranberry brick shade. It is beautiful. I think it's gonna look insanely beautiful, like blended right out here in the outer V. Ooh. That's actually a lot darker than I thought it was gonna be. And going on, it looks more like a brown than a brick, so that's very interesting. Rude. Anyways, back to the blending. I'm taking an M514 and I'm just kind of, you know, going in small circular motions just to kind of get a better blend, especially right here. It's looking like it's gripping in a weird way, but it's nothing a little bit more eyeshadow cannot fix. All right, you guys, so that shade definitely took this look to the next level. It's smoky, it's sultry, it's everything I'm looking for in a look. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go back into that potted concealer by Makeup Revolution, and I'm gonna use this to cut my crease. And the reason I'm cutting my crease today is because I do want to do more of a dramatic eye look. I've been doing very like soft glam, very like smoked out looks recently, so I'm gonna step it up a notch and I'm gonna do something a little bit more dramatic. So I'm going to just stamp this right here on my lid to carve out a little bit of lid space. So So for today's video, I'm probably gonna be extra basic and I'm gonna go in with the shade right here called Dreamer. It is so insanely beautiful. I'm gonna pop that directly over top of the concealer I used to carve out my lid. And I am gonna put this on completely dry just because I wanna see what it looks like on its own as opposed to just using Fix Plus. Not to say that I don't use Fix Plus with every single eye look, but sometimes when I'm reviewing a palette, I just wanna see how it performs on its own. And it's going on very, very nicely and very, very pigmented, like very creamy. It doesn't look chunky whatsoever. Oh, they are really killing it. Now, one thing I really like to do, especially when I want to get this edge super sharp, is I will go in with a little bit of fixing spray. This is the Dewy Glow Fixing Spray by Catrice, and I'll just use this to really just sharpen up that edge, just because sometimes when the shadow is dry, it's really hard to get things nice and crisp. Then with a clean M507, I'm gonna pick up a little bit of the shade right here called Explorer. So this one here, and I am going to just take that and blend it into the shimmer shade, just so that way this blend looks a little bit more effortless and seamless. I don't want it to just like cut off right in the middle. I really want things to grady into each other. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in with this liquid glitter eyeshadow by e.l.f. in the shade Flirty Birdie. And I'm gonna kind of dab this over top of that lid shade. Now this does have a base coat to it, so it looks like you can just apply this on its own or over top of eyeshadow. Typically, whenever I do go in with these kind of things, I do like to just put it on the back of my hand and then lightly stamp it with a brush, just so that way I can kind of control how much is going on my eyelid. So I'm just gonna use a flat brush. And I'm just gonna kind of tap it. I don't know, I just like the way that this looks a million times better than going in straight with the applicator. So I definitely feel like that liquid glitter eyeshadow added a little wham bam to the look. It took it to the next level. I'm gonna go in with liquid eyeliner. I haven't done this in a while. I'm gonna go in with a brand new L'Oreal Matte Signature Eyeliner in the shade Black. I really love how sleek this looks, and I'm hoping it's black enough to cover up the glitter on my lid, but I feel like this is a really awesome way to test out an eyeliner, because if it covers up glitter on the lid, it's a pretty good eyeliner if you ask me. So I'm gonna just try to do a little bit more of an everyday wing, nothing too dramatic. Ever since I got my lashes lifted, I feel like my lashes are just like in the way of everything. Like I have eyeliner all in my eyelashes right now. I don't even know how I can function like this. All right, verdict on the eyeliner. I actually really hate it. So I'm going to fix this wing and do my other wing off camera just because I really cannot bear it any longer. Like, no, not happening. So with the power of editing, liner is done. Now remind me never to try to do winged eyeliner with a lash lift, because since my lashes were so curled, it was really, really hard for me to get in there and create a nice wing. So they look a little janky, they're not perfect, but I definitely need to move on at this point. I am gonna put on false lashes. I'm gonna use these right here by Lily Lashes. These are in the style Ella. I used these in my last makeup tutorial and they looked insanely beautiful. So I'm just gonna pop these on really quick so that way we can move on to the rest of the face. All right, lashes were on. It was a challenge to get here, but we got here. I'm gonna take a little bit of these In Studio eye makeup remover wipes that I used in my video where I tried to do my makeup with only $50 worth of product. It's just kind of like a little round saturated with makeup remover. I really like this to kind of just gently clean up fallout. I've kind of given up on makeup wipes as a whole, but this little thing right here, it makes it really easy to just kind of whoop and just get a really nice clean canvas for primer. Now that my eyes are done, I am going to jump into primer. Now, I don't have any like new primer, so I will be using the Poreless Putty Primer by e.l.f. You guys know how much I love this. I'm going to apply it with a brush just because I feel like my hands got really dirty in the process of doing my eye makeup. The brush I'm using is the Sephora Pro number 47, the angled one. So good in my opinion, and I'm just going to focus it right here, like in my T-zone, where I have slightly enlarged pores, just to kind of smooth out any uneven skin texture. I'm telling you guys, my eyes were such a process today, but we got through it. We're on the skin, and my skin needs a lot of TLC right now. As you can see, I have like some active breakouts in this area, but it's nothing that I'm not familiar with, and it's nothing that I'm too concerned about because I know within a couple days it will clear up. Now that my skin is primed, I'm gonna go in with some color corrector. I'm gonna use the No Flaws Liquid Color Correctors by Collab. This one here is in the shade Peach. I really love to use this one directly underneath my eyes because it is more of like a salmon color corrector, so it's going to cancel out any blues or purples underneath the eyes. Also going to take this right on my lip and on the sides of my mouth. I'm going to add in a little bit of the dark peach color corrector, and I'm only going to take a little bit of this because a little bit of it goes a very long way. And to blend out that concealer, I'm going to use this little complexion sponge trio that e.l.f. just came out with. I already got the biggest one damp. This is the one I'm going to use to blend out the concealer. For me personally, I'm a huge fan of the Total Face Sponge, so I was very interested in seeing how this will perform. I am noticing it's picking up a little bit of that concealer underneath my eyes, which is strange, but I'm gonna continue using it to blend out the rest of the concealer and also my foundation to let you guys know my final thoughts on it. But it is really soft to touch, and it gets super big, like crazy. I'm now gonna move on to foundation. Now, a foundation that I was really eager to try was this one right here by Milani. This is the Cream to Powder Foundation. I have mine in the shade 230 Light Beige. It honestly looks a little dark in the pan, but that's completely okay. I feel like I could make it work for the purpose of today's video. I'm going to apply it with a brush. This here is a Pro Foundation number 47. I'm just going to really start patting and working this into the skin. Hopefully the shade is a good match. Honestly, I think the shade is going to be a pretty decent match for me currently. I did scrub off all of my self-tan since filming that haul video because I was really eager to try out some of these products that I purchased when I wasn't self-tan. So far the coverage on this is really nice. It's covering up the color corrector really well as well. And the reason I'm using a brush and not a sponge is because normally whenever I use products like this, I feel like they just perform a lot better with a brush. Also, I do want to note that the compact comes with a little sponge, so you could totally use that. I'm probably going to use that on the other side just to show you how it applies and how it performs. Not gonna lie, I really love the coverage of this product. Like, do you guys see that? It literally covered up all of my color corrector. Like this side, completely orange, some blemishes. This side, full on coverage. Like, honey, I am in it. I really am. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use the cushion that comes with the compact, and I'm going to use this on the other side just because I want to show you what it looks like when you actually use the applicator within the packaging. So I'm going to just take this and just lightly start patting it onto my skin. I think you will get the same exact effect, but I don't know how I feel about a cushion like this for applying foundation. Maybe like powder, I feel like I get something very similar to this in like my MAC compacts, but I don't know how I feel about like actual foundation, like a cream product, just because I feel like I would want to clean it over a period of time. But it is packing on the coverage. I do kind of like the side with the brush a little bit better, but you can definitely do one over the other. It just really depends on you and preference. All right, so in all honesty, I do like the side with the brush a little bit better. I just feel like the sponge is a little bit hard to control. So I'm gonna go back in with my brush and just go to town and really build up this coverage. What, now that I'm thinking of it, I used to use a product very similar to this right here by CoverGirl. It had like swirls in it, and I want to say it was a part of like their age line. I'm not entirely sure of the exact name, so don't quote me on it, but I loved it so much, and I'm kind of getting like the same effect and the same vibe with the foundation. Like, it looks so beautiful on the skin, so I'm into it. I'll definitely keep wearing it throughout the day and update the description box down below to let you guys know how I feel about it. But let's move on to concealer. I will be using a brand new concealer. This is the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Infinite Long Wearing Crease Proof Infinite Concealer. It says it's supposed to give you 20% more coverage than their other concealer, and it is still that same vibe, the very big applicator. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this underneath my eyes to conceal. Also, the shade I picked up is C5. I feel like it is a pretty good shade for me. Not too light, also not too dark. Literally the perfect shade. I'm gonna take some also down the center of my face to highlight. And the product I'm going to use to blend out the concealer is this right here by e.l.f. This is the e.l.f. Camo Concealer Sponge. It says it's best with their camo concealers, but honestly, I personally feel like you should create a sponge that is a universal sponge that's going to work with any concealer. And I do feel like this one from Makeup Revolution is very, very full coverage, very similar to the one from e.l.f., but just not as drying. At least that's what I get upon first application. So I'm going to use a sponge to blend it out because I just want to see what it does. Like, honestly, I feel like Pudding works best with their camo concealers. Is just a pitch for them to sell more camo concealers, if you ask me. But so far, I will say it is blending out my concealer really well. I will say the concealer can be a little bit more full coverage. Yeah, it could definitely be a little bit more full coverage because, I mean, I'm getting coverage, but I'm not getting like infinite coverage, and that's what the packaging says. So I'm a little disappointed, but I'm gonna continue buffing and blending. I feel like e.l.f. really learned a lot from their Total Face Sponge because these sponges are so soft, they're incredible. Whew, I definitely feel like this is gonna be a bestseller for them. So far, so good, you guys. I'm really loving how my complexion products look on the skin, and I have no complaints. Like, I really love the way the foundation looks. Concealer blended out nicely. Sponge is incredible. So I'm definitely feeling a lot of the products I tried within today's video. I do want to go in with a loose powder. I'm going to use this one right here by Catrice. This is the new HD Baking and Setting Loose Powder. It says it's mattifying, water resistant, and it gives you a second skin effect. I did pick mine up in the shade Warm Ivory, and I'm really, really interested in trying this out. I feel like the packaging definitely reminds me of the Huda Beauty loose powder packaging. So, oh my God, like, I love it. It has like the little net there, so it's not super, super messy. Granted, I did get powder everywhere, but that sponge picked up a lot of powder, and the powder is really, really fine, you guys. Like, it is super fine. Like, I didn't even really feel like I picked up that much powder. But as you guys saw, so much came off. Ooh, almost suffocated myself. Okay, I will say it makes my skin look so smooth. Like, what is this? I am going to continue taking this powder down because I feel like if I don't, certain area, like this area looks a little, is that my foundation or is that the powder? I'm kind of sensing like a dry patch right here. Not the business. I am gonna do the other side to see if the same thing happens. So I'm gonna look up and I'm just gonna set my under eye area. I love that it's completely matte and it doesn't have any shine whatsoever. Like, that's really, really awesome for me personally. So one thing I did notice is that I did take off a little bit of that foundation like on my nose. For the most part, the powder mattified my skin like no other. I honestly look a little dry. I look like I aged a little bit, but I'm hoping when I do my setting spray, it kind of brings me back to life. But before I actually do that, I do want to do a flash test to see if I have any flashback whatsoever when it comes to this powder. So let's do that really quick. It looks terrible. Oh my God. Do you guys see this? All right, I'm not gonna panic because I did read a comment from one of you one time that said if I apply setting spray that it will get rid of the flashback completely. So I'm gonna continue with my makeup even though the flash test looks horrendous. Like it really does, but I'm hopeful that I can bring it back to life towards the end of the video because someone told me in one of my previous like flash tests that if I spray my face with Fix Plus and then do the flash test again, then the flashback will be gone. But I haven't tested it, so I will test it at the end of the video. I just have to keep going at this point. I'm not gonna take off all this foundation only to do it again. I am gonna go in with bronzer, and this is the collaboration that Whaley did with Butter Bronzer with Physicians Formula. And I'm just gonna take a little bit of this and just add some color to my skin. I feel like because the Catrice powder was so fine, I really didn't realize there was that much on the sponge at all. And then it kind of just like all over my face, which was a hot mess, but it's all right. You live and you learn, peeps. You live and you learn. I'm also gonna take a little bit of that bronzer and take it right alongside my nose just to kind of bring it out some. I feel like after applying all the concealer, foundation, and powder, it kind of got lost in the process, so we need a little definition. I'm gonna take some of this powder and just put it over top of that bronzer for additional coverage. I honestly feel like I'm losing a lot of the foundation on my nose, so I'm really just trying to make it work at this point, you guys. But anyways, let's move on. I do want to go in with highlighter. There is a new highlighter from Milani out right now. This is the highlighter duo in the shade Power Up. The shade I'm most excited to use is this one right here. I don't want to go in with too much highlight though. I don't know what it is, but anytime I go in with highlight, I feel like I hate the way like this area of my face looks because I feel like it really just accentuates all the lines and all the texture. So I'm going to take this highlighter brush right here by Real Techniques. I almost forgot the name. I'm just gonna pop it on my cheek. Ooh. This is more of like a creamy highlight, if I'm being honest. So it's not so much as a powder than it is like a cream formula, but it's still going on really, really nice. All right, so after taking that one, I'm gonna just take a little bit of the second one and I'm just gonna kind of layer it right here. That makes it that much more intense, but it still is pretty. Okay, let's go in with blush. Now the blush I'm just gonna use is from the Butter collection that Whaley created. I'm just gonna take the apricot blush and just pop it onto my cheeks for a flush of color. Also, I'm not really gonna do anything too crazy to my lower lash line. I'm just gonna kind of drag the brown shades down and just smoke it out a little bit. So for the sake of timing and not having my videos be crazy, crazy long, I'm just gonna do that off camera and then we'll finish off with the lips. And before I go in with bottom lash mascara, I'm just gonna kind of set my face down and in place with the Illuminating Prime and Fine Dewy Glow Fixing Spray, just to see like if that powder melts down and doesn't give me flashbacks. So I need some closure because that flush test was not cute. I'm just gonna kind of pat it into the skin with my Total Face Sponge by e.l.f. This one's not damp, by the way. And the only reason I'm doing this is so that way that setting spray doesn't kind of like melt my makeup and it really just sets it. It also helps my highlighter look a little bit more skin-like. So, hi, holla. My face looks really good, I'm not gonna lie, but flash test is gonna determine everything. I'm gonna finish off my eyes with a little bit of mascara. This one's by MAC. It's the Extended Play Giga Black Lash Mascara. And I'm just gonna kind of coat the lower lash line just to kind of bring everything full circle. And for the lips, I do have a new lipstick. This one's by L'Oreal. It's in the shade Glowing Nude. It's a part of their Age Perfect line, and I felt like this will be really, really beautiful paired with this look. Ooh, this is so creamy. So I definitely need a lip liner with this. I'm gonna take this one by KKW just to kind of give it a little bit more contrast. Then I'm just gonna add a little bit more of that lipstick just to blend everything. Honestly, this lipstick could very well be my new favorite nude lipstick. It's hydrating, it's like glossy and bossy, but it's in the form of a lipstick and not a lip gloss. So I'm in it. I am gonna do a flash test now just because I'm very curious to see if in fact I look as powdery as I did before I set my makeup down and in place. So, whew, here we go. Moment of truth. All right, so looking at the picture, I will definitely say wherever I put bronzer and blush, it looks like it kind of broke up in those areas, like the foundation and the powder. Like, it looks strange. It doesn't look flawless. It doesn't look seamless at all. Like, from afar, my face looks good, but not only do I want my foundation to look good from afar, but I want it to look good up close and personal, and this really isn't giving me that. I know it looks super bright on my screen, but I promise you, like, the image, it's not as white as it was before I applied my setting powder. So I definitely feel like that helped. I'll definitely have to try out the powders and also the cream to powder foundation on their own to see what the problem is, because the thing about doing full face of first impressions is that one thing could mess up your entire look and then you're second guessing everything else in the process. But I will say I really love the eye look. I also really love the eyeshadow palette. The liquid glitter eyeshadow is really, really pretty, and this lipstick is out of this world, like, so good. But like I said in the video, I'll continue testing out these products and kind of do a product roundup at the end of the month and let you know what worked for me, what didn't work for me, and what I recommend buying. I feel like that's the only way that I'm gonna be able to do first impressions and let you guys know what I like and what I don't like, because I try out so many different products in all of my videos that it's kind of hard to determine what I actually love. So I will continue using these products. I'll interchange them with other products, so on and so forth, just to let you guys know my thoughts. So I hope you guys appreciated this first impressions video. I will have asterisks next to each and every single product I really enjoyed in today's video. So make sure you guys check out the description box down below. And with that, I don't have much else to say except I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, I'll be sure to catch you guys all on the next one. Deuces.